What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol CLSK for CleanSpark Inc. On the left-hand side, we are looking at the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. What we always like to do when we start off is map out obvious areas of support and resistance from the daily perspective. So the first level that's jumping off the page at me is here at 1290. We also have resistance from this pivot high in here. And then, of course, the elephant in the room is the gap down from earnings. So let's go ahead and map out that gap. It closes up at 1331. And that's, of course, over today's high to put the remainder of the gap in play over 1196. Call it 12, a nice round whole number. So what else are we noticing from the daily perspective? Well, if I just scrunch this up a little bit, we have been in quite the downtrend for some time. So, you never want to fight the prevailing trend too hard, but could there be a temporary bottom here forming now that we've started to fill this gap? Absolutely. So let's shift the attention over to the 30-minute time frame just to check in on today's action. How was the close? Can we learn anything from the intraday action that we essentially saw unfold? So we did get an opening drive lower on the bell. So we opened here, right? We did drive lower, putting in this lower wick, dribbled a little bit after that. But in the afternoon, we did make a significant move higher. So what I want to do is just analyze this in terms of Fibonacci's because we are in relatively uncharted waters for now. So on the first move, how aggressive was the pullback? It was under the 61.8. And as we know, whenever we start closing candles under here, the risk or, the odds, exponentially start favoring the fact that we could get a 100% retracement of the given move. So it's kind of noteworthy that even though we did get a couple of candle closes, we actually recovered all of the Fibonacci retracements from the morning, high to low essentially range, right? So that is noteworthy that the sellers could not make something happen here and take it down to the low of day. So what happens if we do something like this? If we take our Fibonacci's, go from the low of the move up to the high of the move here, where are we in terms of this 38.2 pullback? You can see a number of lower wicks on these candles actually respected that 38.2 pullback. So for me, that's a pretty healthy and solid close, especially given the fact that we had a major gap down after earnings, right? So it's not like it was a gap and go. We actually started to fill some of that gap. So if we can see further consolidation in this range here, the long is clearly up and over 12 to start to fill the remainder, which as we know is going to be up there towards 1331 with a bump in the road close to 1290, 13 the whole dollar. Do expect a little bit of resistance to come in early simply because we know that prior support in terms of technical analysis anyways should start to act as resistance when tested from the bottom side back up. There's nothing else that's really screaming at me from this chart. The last thing I'll sort of do is just look at the 30-minute without this, remove that, and the 38.2 kind of coincided with this level, but if we just do something like this, you can clearly see here as well, this 1134 was resistance, then was support right here. So that should be on your charts. And of course, this low from the pullback. So you might want to also have this level here at 1069. That's all I'm seeing from the 30-minute. It does look good for a continuation into the gap fill. The elevated volume is something you do want to keep an eye on. The more eyeballs that are on this, the more likely that there could be a momentum drive higher and you could reach that gap fill target. To the downside, not really favoring anything in that direction, simply because if we go on over to our trade tab, what we'll notice about the first of all, shares, hard to borrow, so you're not going to short the shares. And in terms of open interest here, it's okay, but really there's not a whole, you could take some size here on the strike, 12.5 strike, excuse me there. The volume actually did go through, but we'll see how that actually fares once it's not on an earnings gap down, right? If it dries up, then again, you probably want to avoid trying to short this to the downside and just wait for a long setup with actual shares. So that's going to conclude today's video here on CleanSpark. If you enjoyed it, let me know down below in the comment section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, we wish you a green trading week.